What is up, Houston Illini? Welcome to the 3-in-1 show where we interview and feature a variety of University of Illinois alumni who are now living and thriving right here in Houston, Texas. My name is Brian Crawford. I'm an Illinois grad of 2008, and today our featured guest is the program manager at the Fifth Ward Community Redevelopment Corporation. That is a mouthful, but Christina Cornelius. She's going to talk to us a little bit about her experience, her life, her career in Houston. So what's up, Christina?
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me.
So excited for you to be here. Real quickly before we get started, though, a reminder of how the show works. If you remember at halftime of any Illini sporting event, you may remember the halftime performance by the Marching Illini, broken down into 3 distinct parts, ending in the alma mater. So what we're going to do is pay homage to that, and we're going to break down this show into 3 parts as well. First, we're going to talk about how our guest Christina chose the University of Illinois and what was her life before that. Second, we're going to talk about what her experience was like at college, and then finally, what's her life like now, and what's her career path look like today. So, no matter how you're watching, let us know how we're doing. If you know anyone that needs to be focused on the show or needs to be featured on the show, please let us know, and most importantly, subscribe, follow, and everything so you don't miss any of the new shows coming up. So without further ado, Christina Cornelius, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about this.
Me too. So let's go all the way back and let's talk about where you're from, Chicago.
Yes.
Tell us a little about your hometown, the area you grew up in, and if there was, anything unique or special about that for you.
So I was born and raised in Chicago. Actually, when I was born, we lived on Michigan Avenue, Michigan and Roosevelt. Why my mother left that place, I don't know. I tease her about it all the time. I'm like, who gives up that real estate? So I was in between the city and the suburbs. My dad lived in the city. My mom lived in the suburbs. I've gone to school in both. So I kind of got like, I guess a holistic experience, if you will, of Chicago. So I could very much say, like when you come down to U of I, it's like, oh, are you from Chicago or are you from the suburbs? I could be one of those people charging people up, or I could have just been from the suburbs. It just depends on the day, honestly.
I mean, Michigan Avenue, that's the hustle and bustle of Chicago.
Prime real estate, 1130 Michigan. And I'm like, Mom, like, what? Why would you leave there?
So that's a very different feeling than, going down to Champaign. It's, a college town put in the middle of a cornfield, right? So
Yeah.
That had to have been 2 stark
Culture shock?
differences. Yeah.
Um, well, my first year it was a culture shock, but I think that was more due to my age. So I started college a year early. And so my mom really wanted me to go to DePaul or a community college my first year. And I was like, no, there's no way. I'm going to U of I. Bye. I felt like 2 hours was too close. So I was not trying to be like in the city. But then when I got there, it was like, I want my mom. This is so far. Like the age difference it was apparent like that. I struggled that first like couple of months. But I found my way. Like I said, it was 2 hours away. I was incredibly spoiled. So I had a car. So I was in Chicago all the time. It was pretty much ridiculous. But yeah, like I think the way that we navigated and I say we, me and my best friend, navigated our life in Chicago, going between the suburbs, the city, taking the trains and the bus and all the things. It prepared us to be able to navigate Champaign-Urbana. So if I wanted Popeyes, I would get on the road and go to Bloomington. I just would do it because we didn't have Popeyes.
That was a new experience for me, is like jumping on the 26 pack or the 22 Illini for the first time. So, and you already had that down by the time you got there.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
love the Illini card. The iCard gets you on the bus for free.
well, okay, so I'm interested in understanding, like, as you grew up, what kind of stuff were you involved in as a kid in that sort of environment?
So I am my mother's only surviving pregnancy. She had a condition called endometriosis, which made it very difficult for her to conceive. That being said, she's obsessed with me to this day, literally. So when I was born, she quit her job. She homeschooled me, and one of the things that she did was she gave me a word a week. I think the first word was apex. Philanthropist, original. But when the word was entrepreneur, she really wanted me to understand what that meant. So she invested in me. Mind you, I'm 3, so I shouldn't. Why I knew entrepreneurs because my mother was obsessed with me, but um, she wanted me to understand what it meant. So we started a candy store, and that first summer, I paid her back the initial investment. I paid my tithes, which was 10% of what I made, and then I saved $1,000. And from that point forward, like that entrepreneurial bug was like implanted in me, and it has.
You little hustler.
Yeah, I got biggest hustler at the Gag Awards for Black Alumni, so for my class.
Crazy. That's so awesome. But okay, so you knew that you wanted to be, yeah. I like. Okay, let me back up. I usually ask people if they knew from that young age like exactly what they wanted to do. It sounds like
I
you
didn't.
were thrown into, but like
I didn't. That bug was in me, but I really
okay,
didn't know like what that was. So when I at that same time, if you asked me what I wanted to be, it was the first Black female president of the United States of America.
okay.
Now I don't care if you gave me $3 billion, I would never like I would never be a politician. Like no, 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 no. But I know more. When you know more, you make more informed decisions.
Right.
I definitely have an entrepreneurial spirit, and it's very apparent in how I work. It was apparent in college and high school. It's funny because I just had, I guess, a come to Jesus moment with myself, where I realized these characteristics of an entrepreneur have been there all this time. I just had never identified it. So like if things don't make sense, I struggle. Like I hate silly rules. I hate silly rules. And I hate silly rules that I don't have the power to change. Like because I've worked for entrepreneurs, it's like usually go do it. Okay, why are you telling me the problem? Fix the problem and then come tell me like what happened. And so like I'm always like taking initiative to get to the solution, and that doesn't work in a lot of environments. That's that entrepreneurial spirit.
The- you and I think a lot of alike because I'll go, what? Why? What? This doesn't make sense. But yeah, but it's the way we do things around here. Okay.
Yes.
Um. So you kind of grew up with this business mindset, and then you had made this. I'm not going to DePaul, whatever, Chicago State, Northwestern, Illinois is my choice. How did you come to that?
So I was a super independent kid, which is really strange since my mother literally was obsessed with me. That's the name of my interview. My mother's obsessed with me. But I was super independent. So when I like applied to college, she really didn't know what schools I was applying to. She knew I applied. In high school, I went to go on college tour. I told her like, this is the college tour I want to go on. They paid for it. Like they didn't have to like push me to do what I was supposed to do. So I did my own FAFSA, and she wanted me to apply to Harvard. I thought she was crazy. I didn't do it. Um, and she wanted me to apply to Spelman. And the reason why I didn't apply to Spelman is because they didn't have a business program. I didn't realize that you could take business classes at Morehouse. But 16, 17, doing my own thing, why would I know that? So I applied to a lot of local universities. I just applied because you were supposed to. U of I was my top choice. The only challenge with U of I, the only school that made me pause on U of I was Howard. And I was waiting for Howard to give U of I my decision because I applied early because I was that type of kid. And I actually got a denial letter from Howard on my 17th birthday. I got the small envelope. And I saw the small envelope and I was like, I don't care. I'm going to U of I. U of I is ranked number 8 at the time, number 8 public, number 38 public and private. Like, it's their loss. And I went and I celebrated my birthday, and that was it. I was going to Champaign.
When one door closes, one door opens, right?
Yeah. Like, the door was open. I was just playing. Like, I knew what I wanted to do.
Okay, so now, like, we're gonna move transition yourself here. You're in college, and you touched on it a little bit. You ran there early. Sounds like it was an overwhelming experience. Like first off, when you got there, but what'd you get involved in that kind of got you out of that?
So I spent a lot of time at the Black House. Like, I was a resident. Like, I could have had a bed. And then I also was a part of the program 100 Strong. And I would say that that program, God, it's been over, I think over 12 years now. That program, my group leaders, I'm still close with today. Um, One is, well, both of them are in New York, and I go to New York like maybe 4 to 6 times a year. One just got engaged, and I'm a groomswoman in his wedding.
That's so cool.
So, like, that's my family. Like, I can't say that I took a lot of friends that are like close. I took a lot of associates from U of I, but like, I got some really great gems that are in my life to this day. And it doesn't matter if they backpack through Asia for a year, which one of them did, or is in New York starring in a Broadway show, which the other one is. Like, we're still connected.
What show?
MJ.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
he was the alternative Michael Jackson and had a great run. And I think he's transitioning to something else now. So I
That's
now I
exciting.
have to shout out the names: Airman
Yeah,
Payton and Justin Sinkara.
there we go. Well, so one another entrepreneurial trait that I want to point out is like as an entrepreneur, you tie yourself in with great leaders, and
Absolutely.
you were able to identify that at a very early age, and you didn't even know what you were doing yet. Like this person is showing me all the cool things that I can do with my life, right? So, um, go deeper. Let's talk about that journey and what that looks like. You kind of got your feet under you now. What else are you getting into?
I think one of the coolest experiences I had at U of I is I got to sit on the subcommittee for student conduct board. I don't remember the process. I don't even know how I knew we had a board. I was definitely one of those kids that, like, I wanted to check the boxes, like, oh, I should be doing this. So, president of National Knowledge Society, check. President of NAACP, check. But like, I didn't really understand what that meant beyond like, oh, I'm president, right? I mean, you're a kid, you don't know. But with that board, it was so powerful, and like the decisions we made collectively were influential on the future of our classmates. So anytime like there was a theft or any type of crime on campus, not only did the campus police or the Champaign Urbana police get involved, they before our board. So we would have like cases this thick. We would meet probably like quarterly. I don't remember that many. Like, it wasn't a monthly thing. And we would review the cases, and basically it was like court. Like, student comes in, it's a panel of their peers, their two deans, and we would make decisions on what the punishment should be,
Right.
all the way up to expulsion. And
Wow.
it was very heavy. I feel very blessed to have been able to participate on it, because sometimes I found myself on the opposite side. Like, no, we can't ruin this person's life. Like, no, that's not fair. Whether it was gender roles or, biases, like I found myself challenged to think beyond what surface level I might have been like, oh yeah, that was wrong. They should have done that. Like, because it's a lasting impact. It's the future of these people's lives that and it will define what happens next.
That to have that experience very early and have this kind of look into so many people's future, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I still don't know how I can't remember how I found out about it, but it was a great experience.
would you say that that was kind of like a significant direction point for you in life?
I think that it was the first time that, and this is going to sound very silly given my background, that I took something very seriously. So I was a good kid. Like I mean, the bad stuff we did, my parents never found out about. But like I was like, it wasn't that bad. Like I wouldn't mind having me as a kid. So I wasn't a bad kid. I got good grades. I participated in activities. I did what I was supposed to do. Um, and so, and I was smart. I didn't have to study. So I didn't have to take things too seriously. So when I got to college, I still wasn't like taking things too seriously. Like it was just like, okay, I have to do this, check this box, check this box, check this box, but not really understanding the impact of it all
Hmm.
and like what could really be done. Like I said, I was president of NAACP. I shouldn't have been president of NAACP. I didn't even understand what it meant. I knew that it looked good on my resume. And so I think that was the first time that I had experience that looked good on my resume, but like held, I had the responsibility to match the title. And I understood that.
Wow, I mean, that's a invaluable experience to get at that stage
Yeah.
in your life. Well, I'm gonna kind of shift to like kind of the positive side of U of I and go like, what were some I could stay on there. I have so many questions floating around, but like I want to hear from your time at Illinois. What were some
The
like
social.
really good social experiences or just something that's special or significant to you at this point?
I remember, and was my first semester when President Obama won. I I wasn't able to vote in that election because I turned 18 the next month, which
Oh,
I didn't
interesting.
realize until the month before. And I like this whole time, like, I get to vote. And like, no, you can't. Sorry. But I was studying. I was not at the Black House, ironically. I was studying. I lived in Illini Tower because incredibly spoiled. I don't know why my parents agreed to some of the things they agreed to because that was crazy. And I was in our apartment by myself. And I have the election on the television, but I'm like on my computer trying to do math, homework, or something. And I just couldn't focus. And I just said, you know what, forget it. And I run to the Black House. And by that time, he had won. And somehow we all end up on Green Street. And it was just like someone had like a Barack Obama cutout. It was just such a powerful moment and so much energy. I feel like the energy that was in Grant Park that night kind of was on Green Street in Champaign, Illinois. So that was amazing.
Like looking back now, like, what does that mean to you?
It's something that I will be able to share with my grandchildren, God willing. Um, it's it's and I can see it from their perspective of when you hear like, oh, my dad marched with Dr. King, or like my pastor went to jail with Dr. King. Like you hear those things like, what? That's so crazy. You were there then? I mean, the kids say now we were born in the 1900s, so like that's crazy. So I just I feel like it's an experience that adds to the legacy of my family line. Um, And then fast forward, we went to the inauguration.
Oh, really
The
cool.
Black House was able to take some students from the 100 Strong program to the inauguration. And it was the most joyous, painful experience of my life. It was so cold. It was horrible. Like, I was freezing, but it was just like, you never can recreate that. I had the pleasure of going to both inaugurations, the pleasure and pain, because I will never do it again. Like, if it's not my husband or myself, and hopefully that will never happen, I won't do it again. It's miserable. But you have that experience, and it doesn't matter Republican, Democrat, black, white. It doesn't matter, because it's a moment in time. It's a defining moment in time. And it unifies, even though we've been dealing with some backlash from it, but that moment, no one can deny the weight of it. And so those were two, and it was like different sides of the same coin, but two experiences that, I mean, I have scrapbooks like that I couldn't have imagined, could have asked for.
And the first time something that major happens is always a monumental experience for everyone involved.
Yes. Yes.
Very cool experience.
Yeah.
So now, and we've kind of connected on a business, like networking level. Did you take any of that, like from a political standpoint or from a business standpoint? Like, what direction were you going to go with your career? Did that have an impact on it?
No, I'll say this. The summer before I started my senior year of high school, I did a program called Inroads. Inroads is typically for college students to get internships during the summer, but they had a high school program. And I don't remember time. I had no grasp of time then. I don't remember how long the program was, but we got dressed in our suits and we went downtown to DePaul every day. And we had different like professional development sessions. We got to go visit different companies. We went to Office Depot, Walgreens, Deloitte. So the day we went to Deloitte, I'm like, they have free vending machines. This looks like a cool place to work. I'm going to be an accountant. Literally. That was it. I knew I was going to be a scientist. I wasn't going to be a doctor, like not my thing. I'm like, I'm be an accountant. So my senior year of high school, I took accounting class because I'm like, I have to get into accounting, like the School of Accountancy at School of Business. And I applied to U of I, to business, accountancy. I did not get in.
Oh,
I did not get in. I got into general studies. And at the time, you had one time to apply to the College of Business, your first semester
right.
freshman year, at the end of
Yep.
your first semester freshman year.
This is very difficult to roll in there too.
It is so difficult to roll in there. So in my head, I still am going to be an accountant. Mind you, I really don't know much about what accountants do. Like, looking back, my personality would have never fit that. Like I would have died slowly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a cool place. I'm going to work at Deloitte. It's teenager logic looking back on it. But so I missed the application deadline. My mom was sick, and my father, my freshman year, I was miserable. Remember the first month, I'm like, I don't want to be here. It was just a really tough time. Missed the deadline. So then I spoke to my advisor, and she's like, well, you should do communication. It's the next best thing. You can get into anything with communication, which is a line that's often shared that is not completely true. I didn't get to that point. I did not realize that until my senior year, as all of my friends were getting offers and I didn't have any. So my senior year, I'm freaking out because I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm the kid that, like, the success story. I'm the kid the whole family's proud of. What am I going to do? I don't have a job.
Well, you did
And
everything that you thought you were supposed to. Check,
absolutely.
check, check, check. And then didn't necessarily set yourself off in in that direction, right?
Right.
So then how did you get to, or what, I guess, what did you do next?
So I took as many business classes as I could take.
Okay. Yeah.
So I worked throughout college. My freshman year, I had 3 jobs my first semester. Why? Because I was a lunatic. I don't know. But
That
I
contributed to your level of enjoyment, it sounds like.
I mean, I found ways to have fun. Like
Yeah.
I partied. I went to different schools. We were on the road. My friends come from Eastern Illinois State for Cotton Club and all the things
Yeah.
unofficial. Like I had fun, but I always operated from a place of at capacity or over capacity. So I didn't know how not to be busy or how to just have fun. So it was just always too much. I was always doing too much. So I went to the dean in the College of Business, and I told him my situation. He's like, you should go talk to Dr. Paul Magelli. Dr. Paul Magelli changed my life.
Tell me more.
When I met him, so you've met me. I'm a super networker. I'm a connector. I can speak to any crowd. I can go to any room, from the country club to the hood. Like I'm good. When I met Dr. Magelli, I felt so lost. I picked up a stuttering habit. I was timid. I was just I was a shell of who I am. And somehow he saw beyond all that and saw that I was talented and invested in me in different ways. So Dr. Paul Magelli started Illinois Business Consulting, the consulting club, in 1996. So I applied for that, became a consultant, worked on a project. I did an independent study with him where I got to research entrepreneurship. I did the IBC class where one of our professors was a partner at Accenture.
Yes. Wow.
He changed my life, and he believed in me when I could not believe in myself. I started a nonprofit in 2014. Every thought I had, I ran past him, and that's 2 years after I graduated. My dad became ill in 20. He was diagnosed in December of 2015 with pancreatic cancer. Dr. Magelli got me with the head of the pancreatic cancer research at Mayo. Ironically, Dr. Magelli passed away 2 months after my dad. But I don't have enough words. I don't have enough love that I can express for how that man made an impact in my life.
He was the exact right person at the exact right time that you
Yes.
needed him to be there.
Yeah.
So now you've made a decision business wise. We're going to go in that direction. Um,
Yeah.
this takes you to graduation, right? And then now you're off. But you came straight here, right? To
I
Houston?
came straight to Houston. Yeah.
Okay, tell me
My
what that was like.
my aunt married a Houstonian,
Okay.
who is a businessman. So backing up, I come from a family of women entrepreneurs. When my mom decided that she needed to go back to making money after quitting her job, she started a limousine service.
I see.
And like I said, I was home with her. So I got to, be her little secretary. Like I was seeing the ins and outs. I have an aunt who has a trucking company. I have an aunt who has a brick and mortar restaurant, 2 food trucks, and a concept in U of H's football stadium. Actually, she and my mom are headed to Austin right now to work for South by Southwest for her restaurant.
Okay, give it a shout out. What is it?
Oh, Miss Patty's Kitchen, Miss Patty's Kitchen, and on Instagram it's Miss Patty's Kitchen, and Miss thefoodpattywagon.com. Like it, she, I'm so happy for her, but I'm upset because she no longer cooks our Thanksgiving dinners, and so now that's on me. But
Miss Patty's Kitchen.
Miss Patty's
All
Kitchen.
right, it's on the list now.
Thank you. And then my other aunt, who I am incredibly close to, I call her my aunt mom, my second mom, my mom's best friend,
Sure.
started a dialysis technician school. She has a new technology for teaching dialysis students how to draw blood. She has a patent mannequin that she's shopping around now. She started a software probably like 15, 20 years ago for attorneys that were doing medical cases. That's my girl. I call her my woe, like that. That's my girl. So I come from all these powerful women who have these ideas and actually act on them, which I always start, if I do a talk, I always start like, I come from a family of women entrepreneurs. It's very hard to be a man in my family. Sometimes I look at the women, I'm like, I don't know how they do it. Like, y'all are nuts. But it is what it is. So my aunt married a Houstonian who was also a business owner here in Houston. And my other aunt and her husband moved here. And then my sophomore year of college, my mom moved here. So I was already coming for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anyone. I was just with my family. But when I graduated, broke up with my college boyfriend, didn't have a job, I wanted my mom. And my mom was like plotting on me. She was trying to get me to come to Houston. I wanted to go to New York. I'm like, I'm not coming to Houston. Like a week after graduation, I'm like, Mom, I think I want to come to Houston. She did not let me think about it. She was on the next flight to Chicago in Champaign. We were packing up my car and I was
You
driving to
packed your
Houston.
stuff.
I told my dad, I'm gonna be in between Chicago and Houston. No, I was in Houston. Like I went back often, but like no, I lived in Houston. I really lived in Jersey Village. And
Okay.
this is a big thing because I would talk about how much I hated Houston. Hated Houston. I didn't hate Houston. I hated Jersey Village. So I eventually got a job, of course. I worked in the retail bank of JP Morgan Chase, which was like 10 minutes away from my aunt's house. I was living at my aunt's house at the time. And so I lived in Jersey Village. I worked in Jersey Village. All I knew was Jersey Village. And because I was in banking, I didn't have like weekends. It was hard for me to do consistent activities that would help me meet my peers or like-minded peers. That's important. Like-minded peers. But I tricked some of my friends into moving here. My best friend lived here for a period of time. I have a sorority sister. I tricked some of my cousins. And then I got promoted after I did a program, a summer program, and then came back and I got promoted to the commercial bank, which was like an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And it was downtown. It's like, oh my God, I can do activities. So I joined the junior league. I did some things for National Black NBA. I joined the Urban League and did a lot of volunteer work from the inside of JP Morgan Chase. So I was on the volunteer leadership committee. I helped plan the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure participation. I did the newsletter. So I just got involved where I could. And that kind of just blossomed out. It's ironically enough, when I was in the commercial bank, one of the bankers is on the board here at Fifth Ward, and I saw him this morning. And it's just like how life comes full circle. Like, I've known him since I was 22.
Wow, that's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
Okay, I don't want to leave this out. Like, you did get another business certificate from Stanford as well, and that was during this time, right?
That was the summer program I was talking about. Yes.
Okay.
So I started at Chase September 24th, 2012. Dr. Majelli wrote my letter of recommendation for Stanford for the summer program. And I got in. This is actually a really big lesson too. It's the only Black person at first who got in. And I told someone else, and the application was still open. He applied, he got in. So I was the only Black girl. He was the only Black guy. And because of that, in some comments that were made at work by colleagues, I kind of found a way to invalidate it and invalidate that I was qualified to, be there. And I was in my head the whole time. I kind of isolated myself. And then they put me in a room by myself too. So I didn't have a roommate. So it was like kind of hard. But I left that program with two close friends. Like we still communicate. During COVID, we used to have like this, a Zoom talk. What are you doing now? Tell us about your experience. But my two girlfriends that I met at Stanford, one is absolutely insane. So she is the smartest person I know. She just finished med school and she'll be finishing her MBA this year. Right. She's crazy. Like,
Okay.
the smartest person I know. And then my other friend, and her name is Bella, my other friend Riley helped Syrian refugees come to America while making a documentary about it and testified in front of the UN. And I'm like, girl, they didn't just drop you in there with these people just so they can have a little sprinkle of Black. Like, you're supposed to be there. But the most important thing I took away from that is to live in the moment. Because I was so in my head that I wasn't in the moment. Because it was maybe 30 of us and everyone's doing incredible things. From my class, I think 7 were on Forbes 30 under 30 list. Like, they're incredible.
I think you need to take a moment and talk to the person that's living also in their head right now at the moment that may not feel like they're supposed to be there. What do you tell them about that? You obviously made that journey
Yeah.
through that kind of dark time.
Yeah. It's a very difficult thing. You have to make a decision. Someone told me years ago happiness was a decision, and this was during a period I was unhappy, and it just really irritated me. I'm like, of course I want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? But it really is a decision. How do you react to things? Like, okay, am I going to let this drive me crazy? Am I going to sit in this, or am I like, what can I do about it? And those are the conversations I have with my mom, with my friends who like people get stuck places. I'm like, okay, what can we do about it? Nothing. Let it out. Let's move on. And look for the positive in things. And sometimes that is really, really hard. That
Right.
is really difficult sometimes.
Too many people want to think that happiness is conditional. It's when X happens, then I'll be happy. That's not how it works.
No, you literally have to make the choice.
Hmm.
You can be happy even when you're sad. You can be happy even when your heart is breaking. You have to make the choice because even when your heart is broken, there's something to be happy about. And like, if your heart is broken, it's probably something you can't control. So what do we do? What do you do?
And failure's not a failure. It's just a lesson that you learn to take with you, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. I I think the most important relationship that you have is with yourself. And until you start working on that relationship, there is going to be self-doubt. There's going to, be imposter syndrome. It's easy to get depressed. It's easy to get sidetracked because you are not nurturing the most important relationship you have. So some years ago, I realized that I was not the best friend I could be to others because I wasn't the best friend I could be to myself. So I get that would be my advice. Work on the relationship you have with yourself.
I hope so many people watch this because you just threw a bunch of wisdom nuggets in here. That's not necessarily the intent of this show, but as far as you, that's the thing, that's the mission point that's in your heart that drove you moving forward through your career. So I'm kind of transitioning ourselves back into like your path and featuring you here. Like you came in 2012. It's 12 years later.
Oh
Um,
God.
oh, oops.
12 that is crazy to me. 12 years later. 10 years older than what I was supposed to be here. How long I was supposed to be here. I'm here
but you
now.
made it here, right? So
Yes.
so tell me, like, and you don't have to touch on every spot, right?
Mhm.
But like, you've gotten to this point, and we have your position, program manager, Fifth Ward Community Redevelopment Corporation. That seems to align, and we talked a little bit off air here, that more aligns with the things that you were have been thinking about, and you want to bring passion to the table as well in your career. So why don't we start there and tell me a little about your role with that company?
Okay, so work at Fifth Ward CRC, and what we are focused on is revitalizing the Fifth Ward community for legacy residents and the transplants that come to the community. It's a historically Black community, historically underserved community, and disenfranchised. Like there's a freeway that was planted that literally split the community. So all the things that you hear about what happens to poor Black communities, and it was not necessarily poor, but things happen to make it become poor. I work under an incredible leader, Ms. Kathy Flanagan Payton, and I came to her for mentorship. I started doing these professional development lunches because I was at a crossroads, if you will, with my previous position. And when I came to Miss Kathy, it was like, okay, this is what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what's next. What should I be doing? What professional development should I be doing? And she's like, yeah, I have this job. And she's like, she tells me a little bit about the job, but she's like, okay, make a list. Tell me how much you want to make, like a wish list, how much you want to make, what you want to do, what are your values, professionally and personally, and get it to me, and then we'll talk. So I got her that list, but in addition, I pulled the job description and I aligned what my previous experiences had been to what the job description had entailed, and then what extra value I could bring. And we had a couple conversations. I met with my current supervisor, LaShawn McCoy, and we kind of made a hybrid position. So we are part of a program that is it's actually nationwide. Wells Fargo is funding it. It's called the Worth Program. And we collaborate with other organizations, and we all have a slice of the pie. The slices that I am responsible for are three. So, one is youth financial literacy in schools and youth programs. Initially, it was schools, I added the youth programs. Um, Also, a non-predatory lease-to-own program, which I am still building, and a young professional homeownership network. So the Worth program is all about BIPOC. Wells Fargo is trying to reinvest in the communities that they had some challenges in previously. And so that's the only limitation I have. My participants need to be mostly BIPOC. They don't even have to be all BIPOC, just mostly BIPOC. And so, yeah, Miss Kathy was like, this is what needs to be done, go. And so I built the program. Of course, I consult with her, I consult with LaShawn, I consult with Yvonne Doty at LISC, who is basically the program manager for the entire program. But
Mhm.
those are the three tasks that I have here. I also have a history of managing public boards. So I have managed Montrose TERS, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. I've managed Sunnyside TERS. I've began the reactivation process for Sunnyside Redevelopment Authority. And here I'm assisting with the Fifth Ward TERS, which is also growing. So we're hoping to have some projects on the ground this year. And what a TERS does, and if you're still in Illinois, it's called a TIF. Texas is still Texas. We have to be a little bit different with everything. What a TERS does is takes part of the money that you pay in property taxes, and an increment of that goes into a bucket. A board manages that bucket of money for infrastructure and development, no maintenance. So we can paint a wall, we can't maintain a wall. We can build a sidewalk, we can't maintain a sidewalk. And that's where management districts come in to partner with the TERS to revitalize the neighborhood. And what that does is not only beautifies, but it like gets rid of the potholes that you're always hearing about. It drives other businesses to want to come to the neighborhood. It drives other residents to want to come to the neighborhood. And that's where the CRC comes in, because we also partner to try to make sure that the neighborhood is still affordable for the original residents. Not only affordable, but still reflects their culture and what they've built.
This is like that kind of zone between like full gentrification.
Yes, yes.
That's I had not peeled back the onion on that with you, but that is so interesting. I love that.
I love it.
This is
I
like
love
where
it.
you're like their sweet spot, where it's like the stuff you love to do that meets your passion project, that meets like the stuff that you're good at, and you're like, gimme, and you just make it a thing.
Yeah. I feel
Holy
blessed.
Christmas! Like you need to meet everybody. Um, I don't know how to get that done, but like this is probably a good start. Like plugging yourself into with the Houston Illini group. You know, there's 4,000 people here. Uh, everybody needs to know more about you.
Thank you.
Um, we're running up against time here, but I'm cautious to go. What's your next move in your career? But um,
Let's see if I can do it in 2 minutes.
okay, yeah, let's do it.
So I talked about having a nonprofit. I have a marketing company as well, and we just completed a political campaign. Well, not completed. We completed the primaries for a political campaign, managing their social media, and I'm hoping to grow that aspect of my business as well. I am incredibly interested in mixed use development and real estate apartments. And so, because of where I am now at work, I get to see that side of it, because we also manage real estate as well at Fifth Ward CRC. And so I have a investment group with my girlfriends called Invest a Woman. And so our next investment will be some sort of real estate. So that's what's next in my entrepreneurial life. And then I'm taking in all of the knowledge and all of the opportunities that are being presented to me here at Fifth Ward, and pulling them from my toolbox. I would be remiss to not mention Damon Williams, who is my mentor, more like a father figure. My dad passed, who I worked with before coming to Fifth Ward. Worked with him in some capacity for 10 years. He was my uncle's business partner. And we're so much like family that we were eventually at each other's throats. And it was like, okay, it's time. And like we have dinner next week, so we're fine. But I would know nothing about economic development or public boards or where I am right now is because he literally saw something in me and helped guide me here and taught me. Um, and it's amazing that I have access to a widened amount of mentors and experts that are willing to share their knowledge with me as well. So if there is one takeaway from all of this is to not only network and connect, but manage your relationships, invest in your relationships, and that it doesn't have to be a 3 hour phone call every month, or it it can just be a check-in, like, hey, just checking in. The professor that I from Accenture during IBC, I would email him an update every 6 months. He would never reply. And I was just talking to myself, sending him updates. And when I told him I got into Stanford, guess what? I got a reply. People are paying attention even when you don't think they are.
Mm-hmm.
So just continue to be who you are and continue to present excellence, and people will people are watching.
Speaking of people watching, um, for anybody that's watching that may be graduating from Illinois this year, it's March coming into May.
Ooh. Yeah.
What are you telling them as far as come to Houston because? And this is from the person that was like, I'm not going to Houston. But now you've been in Houston and we've relived this for 12 years.
Yes.
Why come here?
There is nothing that I want to get done in the city that I feel like I cannot get done. And I'm still a transplant. I am not like I'm a Houstonian. People say, "Where are you from?" I'm from Chicago. I live in Houston. Like they accept me how I am. It's Christina. She's from Chicago. Um, there's so much opportunity here from every industry. It's the best kept secret until COVID because we're in Texas. Now we're having more people come. The real estate is like the real estate market is better here than Chicago, right? Um, we don't have state tax. I don't if you have a job right now in Illinois, when you come to Texas, to Houston, you keep more of your money. I was so surprised the first year. I'm like, oh my God. It there's so much opportunity. We're here to support you. The Houston Illini Club is here to support you. So I can speak for Brian and myself. We have open networks. I probably need to be a little bit more careful with my open network, but like if I meet with you and I know like I when I meet people in my head, I'm like, oh, they need to meet this person or that person. I need to connect them with that because that's just how I am. And Brian's the same way. So if there's what like if you come here and plug in with us, you'll be great. I was gonna say you'll be fine, but you'll be great.
You're a connector, and everybody needs a connector in their life.
Yes.
So, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, my Instagram is there, but that's probably not the best way. My email address is Christina at we ventures ventures .llc.
Do it again.
I'm sorry, Christina Christina at we ventures .llc. That's the email. My LinkedIn is on there. My Twitter is the same, Chrissy Q. I'm on all social medias. I take breaks from Instagram just for my mental health, but
You got to.
I yeah, but I have someone checking my messages even when I have a break. So if you send me a message, I have someone checking them.
Okay,
But yeah,
fancy. Got your team.
you gotta have a team.
Yeah.
The bigger it becomes, the more processes and team members you need to make things run. So
I love it.
yes.
Um, so you mentioned the Houston Illini Club. For those of you guys that haven't heard about it, the Houston Illini Club's focus is bringing our Houston Illini family closer. University of Illinois alums that live here in Houston. The club, we host tons of special events and game watch parties throughout the year, and that's with the intent to get people who want to support sports, go Illini. You know, we want to get everybody together, but also from a business perspective, we are also actually raising scholarship dollars for a Houston area student, high school student who is choosing to attend the University of Illinois next year. We're going to give away a scholarship before this coming school year. Our goal this year is $4,000, and I hope we can eventually make that larger and larger and underwrite someone's entire tuition or multiple everybody. I think they said we send about 20 kids a year from Houston to Illinois, which is awesome. But we got big goals. We got big things coming. Specifically tonight, if anybody's watching right now, tonight, March 7, 5:30, we have the Houston Illini Club Business Networking event. That's in Montrose area, the neighborhood, at roughly Shepherd and Westheimer. It's called the Red Lion British Pub. So if you've been to Illinois somewhat recently, it kind of resonates. But visit HoustonIlliniClub.com for more information about any volunteer opportunities. We do a lot of that. We have the business networking event, watch parties. Follow the club on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Christina and I and the rest of us, we're all working on some really cool things here in the future. So watch out for all these announcements, follow and everything. So thank you so much, Christina, for coming on today. It was a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the 3-in-1 show. And join us again next time. ILL.
INI.